You're listening to the Decidedly podcast with Sanger Smith and Sean Smith. Our mission is to help business owners like you defeat bad decision-making so you can improve your health, wealth, and relationships. We do this by digging deep into the stories and expertise of our guests and distilling their knowledge into actionable wisdom for you to carry into your life and business. If you're new to the show, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of our weekly episodes. If you prefer to watch this week's episode, head on over to YouTube for the full video. Now, let's get into this week's episode and defeat bad decision-making in your life and business.
I had a frustrating encounter. Now, I've told you my travails with the, is that a word? Travails? Is that a word?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know.
I think it's a word. Morgan, look that up. Is that a word? All right, I'm going
Travails. Okay.
Travails. Morgan's going to look that up. So my problems with Chase. So I have with my bank. All right. So I get these alerts. So I set my alerts like, hey, if more than, $100 comes out of this account, let me know.
Yeah.
And it does. All right. So that's nice. I got no problem with that. Problem is I'm trying to change the email. It will not. So I go into the app and it says, hey, we're not going to let you do this on the app. Go into the lobby. Okay.
Like the physical bank.
Drive over to the bank when they're open, which is, like 45 minutes
10
a
to
day.
2.
45 minutes a day. And, when everybody else is there, they're busy. Right. So, and I got to talk to somebody, not a person behind the teller. I got to talk to a dude.
Oh, you got
at
to talk
a computer.
to a banker.
A banker at a computer. Right. And I'm like, hey, this wants me to change my email. He goes, oh, you can do that on the app. I said, yeah, I wish I could. But I can't. Need you to do it, apparently. So he goes, oh, that's weird. So he changed it. He goes, all right, well, fix you up. All right, now leave. And I'm very happy, right? Not very happy, but I'm happier. Doesn't change. Go back the next day. He goes, oh, you got to give it some time. Like, let it marinate. What I did.
No way.
Let it cycle through the internet. I'm like,
okay.
That sounds like bullshit, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it doesn't change. So I go back like the next week. I go, hey, remember me? He goes, oh yeah, Mr. Smith, do it. That all work out? I said, nope. He goes, oh, he's very flustered, right? So he changes it again. The manager is now kind of looking over his shoulder and pointing to things, and they're asking me the same damn questions they did before, and I got to authorize everything. He goes, there we go. We apologize. We're so sorry. That should fix it.
Yeah.
All right, you're good. You can tell where this is going. Didn't change. So I'm like, I'm not going to go back to the lot. I call it the tech help, talk to somebody in India. They get me all fixed up. They're, oh yes, we see the problem, and, give it some time to cycle through the world internet.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. Of course it didn't change. I go back in, see the same manager. I'm like, hey man, if I'm going to ask you to change that again. If I seem a little frustrated while we're doing this, because I am. He's like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry. He takes down my information, and he says he got it fixed this time. But what pisses me off is poorly designed websites.
Yeah. Why do you think that? How is it possible that a company as successful and large and with as many resources as Chase,
they can't change
any, figure that out?
Just, I don't want to get these alerts on my old email. I want to get them on a new email. That's not a complicated thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so difficult? Like genuinely, there's stories like that all the time. A big business can't figure out this simple thing.
People who are in decision-making positions aren't using that website. They have a separate website. They log in separately to a back channel, which is what he was doing.
Well, don't you think that like an average Chase employee has a Chase account?
Yeah, but they're not making the decisions. And once you get to the decision-making level, you got somebody else doing it for you.
So the chief technology officer isn't just logging in on his Chase account.
No, he just got it all figured out.
Well, that's good learning.
All right. So, I know that so I set up whatever investments I set up for a client, I set up for myself. In other words, I have that platform.
I learned that from you.
It's a great tip.
It's a good idea.
Know what it looks like.
Because I am constantly finding things. I'm like, is this everybody, is this what everybody experiences? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We got to fix that.
Yeah. We got to fix
And
that.
we did fix it.
Yeah. So it's
because there's so much feedback that like people will never give you. I just had an experience with in an insurance broker. They're very nice. I know them very well. They set me up with the policy, and I couldn't figure out with the carrier that they sold to me how to like add someone to the policy. And so I just had to go back to the agent. I'm like, look, like you got to help me. I mean, I understand that probably I should be able to figure this out with the carrier, but I can't. I need you to help me. And they would tell me, okay, cool, we're going to do this, and then you should be good. And then nothing would happen. I wouldn't see anything. I wouldn't hear anything. And I would have to reach back out to them.
Right.
And now they ended up doing everything for me, which was super helpful. But what they didn't do is they didn't tell me when I would expect to hear from them. So it created anxiety for me.
Yeah.
Because instead of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to follow it until it's done, you'll have an update from me on Monday, one way or another, whether this is good or bad. Well, then cool. I just don't have to worry about it at all because I know you're going to call me on Monday. But if you don't say anything, I got it. Well, I might expect that it's done tomorrow. I might expect that it's done Saturday. I might expect that it's done Sunday. And it's not happening. Now I'm going, what are they doing? Are they doing their job? And so, but then they give me a survey and they're like, hey, we'd love to have your feedback. Great. My fault. Like I should have.
You gave them feedback?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because I was like, it's too much. Like if I got other stuff to do.
Right.
So I just go 5-star, good job, thanks.
No wonder they suck, right? Everybody's telling them.
They don't suck. They just this thing.
Okay. All right,
like I could have given them that feedback, say, hey, everything was great, except I would like to know when I'm going to hear from you instead of just leave it undefined.
Well, you bring up a good point. I had an assistant.
But people just don't give feedback. And so you have to experience it for yourself as a client or a customer of your own company. Because even when you ask people, they won't tell you. They'll just go, oh, you're great.
Well,
meanwhile, they're sitting on something that they're frustrated about.
Frustrations arise from unmet expectations. And so one of the jobs we have as business owners is to make sure we properly calibrate what those expectations are. So I would have an assistant, if I got an email, respond to him and say, hey, Sean will get back to you this afternoon. He's at a meeting, or I'm going to forward this email over to so-and-so so they can handle it. Just get with them. Even if you don't have the answer, even if you don't know the answer, let them know you got it. Let them know what's going on.
Let people know when you're going to hear from them. And it might be 3 weeks from now. You might go, hey, you know what? Great question. I got a lot going on. This is super complicated. I have no idea what the answer is. I'm going to have to talk to 15 experts. Give me 3 weeks. You'll hear from me in 3 weeks.
Well, I'd give them an update.
No,
intermediate.
No, even that, even if you did that.
Oh, yeah. Worst case scenario.
That's better than just saying, got it. And going to
my assistant, I've been working from home a lot lately. I mean, I only went up to the office like once this year. And she said, got an email from a client. I was like, I was going to answer that. And it was like right before lunch. 45 minutes later, she's like, hey, Sean's out of the office. Get back to you tomorrow. I'm like, I'm out at your office.
Yeah.
I'm working. And they're like, tell her, don't do that.
Let's see, that's why work from home is difficult.
It is difficult because you can't communicate.
It's not great.
It's not great.
I feel entirely validated, by the way, on the whole COVID work from home thing, because when it started, I remember there's a certain mindset that people get into when change is forced upon them. Okay. Work from home was forced upon everyone during COVID.
Yes.
Certain people will react to this change and go, this is magnificent and beautiful. And it's actually better than what we were doing before, even though we didn't pick this change and it's totally forced upon us.
Right.
It's better than what we were doing before. And there's no downsides, and we'll never change it from here on out. And that's what people said about work from home. They were like, this is amazing. We're so stupid for not doing this. This is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. It's not a challenge. It's an upgrade. We're never going to go back to the office. Woo! And I remember in March 2020, when that started, going, oh my gosh, no, we got to get people back in the office as soon as possible. Right. Otherwise, we're never going to get them back.
Yeah. Once it's too long.
And I did that to a lot of criticism. And then sure enough, big corporations followed a year, 2 years, 3 years later, and there's still the freaking federal government is just now getting around to bringing people back from work 5 years later.
Yeah.
5 years later, it took them.
Do you think it's better for some people?
Oh, sure. That's the case all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Some people are better to work from home.
I found it was better for
I have
people on my team.
I have people work from home, but that's because of their unique situation. I would prefer that they were able to conveniently and regularly work in the office. Because of their unique situations, that would be less than ideal for them. It would be worse. But if their life situation were different, I would rather them be here. Of course, like it's easier, more convenient. You collaborate better. Like everything's better.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that.
But I'm not such a believer that I would force 100% of people all of the time, always work in the office. I'm not going to go that far. But the idea that, oh my gosh, it's just broadly better for people, no chance.
All things being equal, you'd prefer it.
Yeah. And you have to, I don't know why you would disagree with that, other than people were looking for an excuse. I think people look for excuses to choose the suboptimal route. Like, for example, right, Megan and I, as new parents, Megan is like she's the leader of our household in parental education. Okay. Everything.
What is that?
Like everything I've learned as a dad is like something she taught me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, screw off.
What do you mean?
Wait, I got nothing here? I got no credit?
No. Okay.
I got nothing.
Okay, that's not. Okay, first of all, you didn't teach me how to change a diaper. You didn't teach me about.
Well, I didn't know.
I don't mean as a dad. I mean as caring for a newborn. How about that?
All right.
How about that's what I really mean? Like, hey, when the baby does this, that means he's hungry. I didn't know that.
No, why would you?
Why would I know?
Yeah.
Or this type of bottle is not optimal.
Speaking
of, have
you seen that video of that woman? She was on Oprah Winfrey, like, I don't know, it's like 30 years ago. And she's going through like baby noises.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. Like,
and let me tell you, Megan just knew it like intuitively.
No kidding.
I don't think she really studied it. She just understood.
Wow.
She was like, oh yeah, he's hungry. What? I would have never, now I know, but I wouldn't have known without her. My point with that, if I could remember where I was going, is, and I don't.
You were learning everything from Megan.
Oh yes. So there's one that she consumes, reads, watches videos, a lot of content about like mom stuff, and specifically, obviously, like caring for a newborn. And there's this messaging that goes out there that fed is best. That's the slogan. Fed is best. So you're feeding your baby like absolute dog crap, junk food.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Like, if you just like give them something.
That is best. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that these people are necessarily advocating.
Are these ads from like Gerber?
It's worse than that. It's like literally like donuts for breakfast for your toddler. And then fed is best. And they're not necessarily saying, no, it's good to feed your baby donuts. They're just reframing the entire conversation and outlook on it to not place a judgment on the quality of the food, and instead place a judgment on whether or not they were fed.
Changing the goalpost.
They're changing the goalpost.
Yeah.
Which to me is just crazy. And we make fun of it all the time because we're like, that's nuts.
I've not heard that.
Like, and so that's an example to tie it back to what we were talking about with work from home and people are getting on board, is like, people will find when they are choosing the suboptimal choice, whether it's an intentional, like completely voluntary choice that they've made to pursue something that's less than ideal, or it's forced upon them, which I recognize in the case of like work from home, people had no choice. Business owners might have had no choice. Some of these parents, they might at least feel like they have no choice. Maybe they don't have the discretionary income to buy the healthy foods that my family buys. There are choices that I definitely make, and some with regularity, that are not the healthiest option that I could be making.
People will almost never rationalize. They'll always rationalize the suboptimal choice. They'll never intentionally take the suboptimal choice that they know is the suboptimal choice and just say, I recognize
there's a degree
or decision.
There's a degree to that rationalization. Okay. There are varying degrees. I mean, for example, I had a Coke last night at 9:30 p.m.
All right.
I normally don't do that. I never do that. I did it because somebody gave me like brought Cokes over to the house. They were like, I know you like
all right,
Coke.
sure.
Here you go. Here's some Cokes. Otherwise, my rule is we don't buy that stuff. We don't bring it to the house.
Oh, I have a friend who does that to me. He's one of those super healthy guys, and he's 10 years older than me, but just cut. Like he's more cut than you are.
Okay.
And he just gives me shit every time I'm drinking a Diet Coke around you. I was like, that's poison. It's like, I mean, I can't come back at him because, like, look at me and look at him.
Say, yeah.
Like, what do you get? I'm like, no, actually, it's fine. It's like, you know, he just has me right out of the gate.
Giving you a hard time. I don't do that to people. That's rude.
No,
But my point with it is, as I'm drinking that Coke, I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, actually, I'm really tired and this caffeine is going to help me. Or, well, it's been a hard day, so I deserve it. I'm just going to sit there and go, yeah, I'm drinking a Coke. Okay. It's not good. It's bad. Yeah. I'm drinking it because that's fine.
I'm having a donut.
Because I'm doing it. Yeah. I'm just, you can do that. That's a pathway that you can choose. And if you choose to have that mindset, I think you're going to end up making better choices.
I have done that with clients where there's clearly an optimal path financially. In other words, from a strategy standpoint, this works. And we'll say, for example, okay, well, you can do this other thing as long as you're going into it with your eyes open.
As long as you
know
that's cool.
Buying the new top-end luxury brand new car you're going to get crushed on the resale value.
That's fine.
Okay, if that's okay, just know that.
Yes. Yeah, I tell people that all the time. I had a conversation with like creating an income stream for a client that's retiring. We were having this conversation yesterday, and they were like, well, what should we do? And I said, this is what I think you should do. And they go, well, isn't there a downside to that? I go, yeah, I mean, that you're correct. Doing it this way has this downside that you identified.
Sure.
And they go, well, why don't we do option B? I go, you totally can. There's also a downside to option B.
Right.
Well, what about option C? There's also a downside to option C. And eventually I said, stop. You can do any of these. Like, none of these things that we've talked about are stupid or
there's no catastrophic downside.
They're not impractical. Like, you can do it. We got to identify what is the downside that you're willing to accept. And sometimes, you know, in the case of like food choices, well, what's the optimal, like what's the highest value? The highest value is like the impact of my short-term and long-term health. With money decisions, the impact is like the value is the impact on my short-term and long-term portfolio value, I guess. And if I'm going to make a decision that negatively impacts my short-term or long-term health, negatively impacts my long-term portfolio value, I'm not saying that that's wrong and you have to avoid that at all costs, because then you end up like that asshole friend of yours that's in super good shape, but he can't even like chill out.
Right.
You got to go, hey, I'm making this suboptimal choice. I'm making the financial choice that actually is going to result in less money in my pocket at the end of the day than the other choice, but I'm doing it understanding what that cost is, and I'm okay with it. And if you do that, I'm not going to give you a hard time. But if you do it and you go, Fed is best, I will make fun of you. That's my point.
So just let me just say, I didn't call my friend an asshole. That was you.
In the way that
obviously, if he listens, I only have like one
fun.
like super in shape friend. So you'd narrow down who that was. All the rest are pretty doughy.
I don't know. Yeah, you don't have many people that can get mad.
No, I don't have like a posse of like a bunch of in shape guys that are friends with.
Well, maybe I'm joking. I don't even know.
I know.
I'm just saying.
So I have found that people struggle with decisions when the right answer is unknowable. So let's say you're retired. You're trying to decide, should I take my Social Security at 67 or 69?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, you can't mess this up.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you get more at 69, but you got to wait 2 years to do it. What's the variable that's going to give you the best, that's going to let you know what the best choice is?
Say that again.
What's if you're going to choose between taking Social Security at 67 and 69, what's the variable where you will know what the right answer is?
Yeah, the break-even point. Like,
yeah, it's
how long do I have to live?
Life expectancy.
Yeah, life
right?
expectancy.
And so you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to go with what are the odds?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You can play the odds on that. Can I go back? I want to go back to my rant that we got sidetracked on something. I was ranting about Chase, and I was ranting about,
there you go. Yeah,
I was back to that. And I'll tell you another one that I don't like.
Okay.
Right? And I like the company and I like the product. This is only on their app. All right. So that's my only bitch. is the Daily Wire.
Okay.
Or do you join that?
I have it, but I don't like getting on the app, really.
All right. So I just joined. All
Okay.
right. So I'm trying to get on the app because there was some content I wanted, specific
Some
content.
like movie or something, yeah.
It was like a Jordan Peterson documentary.
Sure, whatever.
Exposition on the
Gospels.
the book of Exodus.
Oh, yeah, that one was not as good as the lectures he did on Genesis.
That's what I'm realizing. Yeah. He assembled a round table to talk about Exodus.
I didn't really care what anybody had to say other than Jonathan Pajot.
Yeah. The Prager was interesting.
I did not think so.
You didn't think Dennis Prager had interesting. Anyway, so I found it hard to get to. Like I go onto the Daily Wire, trying to find it.
It is kind of clunky.
It's clunky, super clunky. All right. So I'm new to this and I'm like, well, I'm going to watch some of their content and see. Again, content's fine. And so we watch, what was the show? Lady Ballers. Have you heard of this movie?
I heard about it. I didn't watch it.
Okay. All right. So we find the movie. We decide we're going to watch this movie. All right. So here's what do you know what the premise is?
Yeah.
All right. So the premise is
they pretend to be transgender so they can win a women's basketball league or something.
Number one, remember how you were talking about the other day, like things should either be crappy or great?
They should either be tacky or beautiful is what I said. Yeah.
And I'm going to fall into the camp of agreeing with you, right?
Yeah.
So kind of mark this day down in history.
Okay.
So this movie is
it's neither.
It's no. It's low budget.
Okay.
It's low.
Okay.
Like they pulled everybody from the break room to like, hey, can you be in this movie?
Like Napoleon Dynamite type deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like, they got, friend of the show, Spencer Clavin.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Oh, okay.
Like he plays like a ref.
Okay. So they really got like
not actors.
Everybody on the team.
Oh, everybody on the team. Here, you're going to play this part. You're going to play this part. I don't know that they have a real legit actor in the whole show. Okay, right. So the premise is this coach, he coaches this basketball team of guys in high school and they win a state championship. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big thing for them and they stay friends their whole life. Right. So you fast forward like 20 years later or whatever. And for whatever reason, they decide to get together and play, volleyball or dodgeball or whatever they're playing. And then they decide that they're going to enter the women's group and they're going to pretend they're women and then dominate. And then they decide they're going to go and play basketball again, but they're going to do it as women. All right. So that's the premise.
Sure.
All right. And it's fine.
Okay.
But here's what I learn about this is if you go and research a movie, there, how they give you like the critic score and the people score, like the audience.
Yeah.
All right. If there's a wide divergence,
mm-hmm.
right, then you should understand if you're the market for that movie.
Yeah.
Right. So that movie had it was like 80-20, like 80% of the audience
was 80. Okay.
Right. Because they're coming from Daily Wire. So they're
okay.
pre-programmed to just like whatever Daily Wire puts out.
Sure.
The critics like, oh, this sucks. We hate this movie. Right. And so and I thought it was fine. I mean, it was worth, an evening of watching some dumb movie. So I'm watching that.
Were you in
the
80%?
I was all right. If I had to grade it, do you grade movies like a thumbs up, thumbs down, or do you like a 1 through 5? Like
what do you do? You're acting like this is a side hustle of mine.
No. What do you
like I'm Roger Ebert. I don't rate anything.
If we go Roger Ebert,
I don't know.
He did thumbs up, thumbs down.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I'm watching it with mom, which is the most frustrating thing.
Okay.
All right. If we go to the theater, obviously you're watching the movie. And you're engaged. If we're watching a movie at home, she's on her phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I got to pause the movie. I got to tell her, no, this was the guy from the other scene. No, he's the coach. No, well, why are they doing that? Well, you're not supposed to know yet. That's storytelling. They're going to tell you in the next scene why he's all, why he's driving the school bus or whatever it is. Right. So anyway, that's frustrating, but I've learned to deal with it. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. So I start looking at other movies that have the same, type of phenomenon in like, Marvel movies do that. Marvel movies, audience score 99, critics give it a 2.
Critics are right on those.
Probably. Yeah. Because the movie's made, if you're a teenage boy, you're going to like this movie, basically.
I think you'd be surprised how many adults go to those things.
Oh, really? The Marvel movies?
Yes.
I cannot sit through. I cannot sit through it.
No, they're not good. They're objectively bad movies.
It's all just, it all devolves into a big fight scene.
They're 2-hour-long action figure commercials.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They have the same story every time. The world's going to end, but
this guy who can shoot spider webs out of his wrist is going to save it.
Yeah.
That's it. So there was a movie that just came out. It got nominated for Academy Award. Amelia Perez. You heard of this movie? Okay. All right. I'm going to tell you the premise of the movie. I'm not going to tell you anything more about it. All right. So this Mexican drug lord, this is all I know about it.
Thumbs up.
I haven't seen it. It got nominated for 15 Academy Awards. I'm like, oh, this must be pretty solid. Right. So I read the description. And it's Mexican drug lord. He's trying to escape, his whole life has fallen in on itself. He's got to make a run for the hills.
Mm-hmm.
And so he fakes his death and has to live dressed up like a woman, live as a woman. All right. So that's the story.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm looking for the actor and I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe George Lopez is in this, or it's
Why would you think it would be George Lopez?
It's a Mexican drug lord.
That's the only Mexican you would think.
It's the first name that came to my mind. I thought, well, this seems like a funny premise.
Okay.
It's the three amigos are going to ride in. Maybe it's
We didn't really check to see if it was a comedy or a drama.
Guess what? Not a comedy.
I didn't think it was based on your description.
You didn't?
No.
All right. It's the worst kind of movie.
What is the worst kind of movie?
It's a musical.
Oh, that is the worst.
Yeah.
That's actually the worst. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
No.
I don't need that. You're adding an element of art that doesn't need to be here.
No. I heard a clip of it, and the main character is singing about the surgical. So not only they just dress, it's not just like Bosom Buddies where he's wearing a wig and a dress. He goes full surgery.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
And he sings a little song about it and the whole bit. And the premise is okay, but I think they should have just made it a comedy. Just go in there and put some guys in there, make it funny.
Movie.
It would have been a different movie. Might not have won an Academy Award, but it had the same phenomenon. Critics were like, "Oh, this is the best movie ever." Audience were like, "This completely sucks." It was like an 80-20 type thing. I mean, 90-10. Audience just hated it.
When the audience and the critics are on board, that's when it's objectively good. Those are the ones I want to see.
Yeah. Or when everybody agrees it sucks.
You want to see?
No, I don't want to see it, but I know not to see it. I know there's no possible way.
Sometimes those are the best ones to
why. Boy, I owed Mom an apology the other day. We were watching Netflix and something just came up, and it was like, "Here, you might like this," and so I'm like, "All right, play." And I turned to her and I said, "I don't know anything. I don't know what this is. Don't blame me," because she likes to if it's bad, she'll blame me.
Yeah,
or if it's raunchy.
Yeah, if it's raunchy,
it's raunchy.
On
I'm now a bad person because I could have predicted. And
nice choice. Good one.
Nice movie you're watching here. Yeah, and then then it's all of a sudden just me watching it. And so we watched some. I don't even know the name of the movie, but it was horrible. Like it was legit sucked.
Okay.
And I look it up afterwards, and the audience was like a 4. It was like 4. It was like the worst.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's hard to achieve. Actually,
it was hard to achieve. Yeah, it had Zach Galifianakis in it, some legit good people in it.
But so I think that those bad movies happen when they don't understand. They're not self-aware. To go back to the nice tacky matrix, the beautiful tacky matrix. It's got to be, if your movie's tacky, you got to lean all the way into tacky. Make it tacky.
Okay.
If it's going to be a masterpiece, make it a masterpiece. Don't try to be kitschy.
If it's weekend at Bernie's, just embrace that it's weekend at Bernie's.
I have this old fridge that you gave me that's probably, you probably got secondhand somewhere.
No, I bought that new.
Oh, you did? Really? Well, either way, it's like
1990.
It's like 35 years old.
Yeah.
And it's ugly and it's rusting and it makes loud noises.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we're going to start collecting fridge magnets.
Okay.
To put on it. And the way we know which fridge magnet that we're going to get is the tackiest possible fridge magnet that they're selling at this gift store. So we only get the tackiest.
Like places you go, like vacation.
Yeah. So when we had a long layover in London, we got a fridge magnet of the Prince William and Kate Middleton and their kids. Okay. And it was like the royal family with hearts around them.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So we got that one. And let's hold up, I think, your Christmas card picture.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, you got to lean into.
I think you're right. You got to figure out what you are. You got to know what you are. Be self-aware. I think you're right about that.
And own the weaknesses.
What do you mean?
And that's true in business. If you go, okay, well, here's what we're not good at.
Okay.
Don't try to fix it. Just own it and be good at it. You know what we're not good at is our service sucks. So we're Dick's Last Resort. We're just going to be jerks.
That's true. They do that. Yeah.
Like what's McDonald's weakness? We're not very healthy. Okay. So don't try to make salads.
They did for a while.
They did. It was
stupid. They backed off that?
Yes. Make a triple grease burger. Yeah. Make the worst thing. Give me a McFlurry. Lean into the weakness.
There's a restaurant in I think it's a burger place in Vegas called the Heart Attack. Like cafe or something.
Yeah,
they just lean into it. They serve the worst possible.
But every business should know what's our weakness and embrace the weakness, accept the weakness and embrace the weakness. Oh, our weaknesses were really expensive.
Well, you're right.
Embrace the weakness.
You can't
accept the weakness and celebrate it. Brag about it. Don't just go, oh crap, what are we going to do to fix it?
No, that's true. Yeah, you can't have the best prices, the best service, and the best product.
That was a lesson you taught me when I was really, really little. And that helps me so much, is you can really only compete on 3 things: service, quality, price.
Right.
That's it. And you can only pick 2.
Right. Right.
You can't pick all 3.
Yeah. So I think you're right. Figure out which one you're competing on, which ones you're not competing on, and lean into it. Don't try and mask it. Don't try and pull the wool over anybody's eyes.
Advertise it even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
There you go.
There you go. All right. So what'd you learn? Is that your takeaway?
Don't watch George Lopez musicals or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go eat lunch.
All right.
Done.
You just made a great decision to listen to this episode of Decidedly. Make another great decision by subscribing to the show and leaving us a review wherever you're listening. We appreciate the support. It helps business owners like you find our community and defeat bad decision-making in their own lives. For more decision-making insights, check us out at decidedlypodcast.com, on Instagram at decidedlypodcast, or grab a copy of Sanger and Sean's books from the links in the show notes. Finally, we'd like to thank Shelby Peterson of Transcend Media for editing and post-production of the show. Thanks for listening. I'm Morgan, your producer, and this is Decidedly.